Welcome into Moving the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside John Epps. Got Jerel Hendricks on the board as always. We are here for our Week 3 South Carolina High School Football preview show. John, last week was an interesting week. We had a couple guys, you and Jerel, out across the state, got a little bit of rain and still had some good ball games. But this week we got a lot of rain coming, a lot of moving parts already, a lot of games getting moved to Thursday. I suspect we still may see a few more as well, but going to be an interesting Week 3 here for sure.
Yeah, I don't know when we're going to play games. I see hear a lot of games are going to be Thursday. Friday looks like a wash pretty much all around the state. I think Saturday might be too. So I'm kind of hoping we see some Sunday games. I don't know if there's any protocols around that, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I don't know if the coaches will be fans of that, but we'll see what it might shake out that way. You never really know. But if you guys tune in for the first time, we really appreciate you. Be sure to follow us here on Facebook, Twitter/X, Instagram, YouTube, and more at Movin Chains, MOVINCHAINS. Website, movinchains.com. Podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. We do a weekly preview show about 7:15 here on Tuesday nights, breaking down the big games and the whole scoreboard and whole schedule, I guess, for that week. We do a weekly recap show, comes out on Sundays on the podcast platforms. We do coach interviews, teams of the week, players of the week, stock up, stock down, concession reviews, lots of great stuff on social media throughout the week. So definitely check us out on all the platforms where you have handles. Definitely follow us on those and be sure to keep up to date with the boys and what we've got going on throughout the week. And if you like our show, if you like John and I, you like Jerel maybe the most, a lot of folks do. We'll see how that goes. But if you do like Jerel, if you like me, if you like John, support the boys. Get some Moving the Chains merch, man. Get you a hat. Wear a hat to the game. Maybe get you a toboggan as well. We got a nice gray one, a nice black one here for you guys. As you see there, you can reach out to mtcgear.sc@gmail.com. We've got a couple hoodies still left over from last season, some gray, some kind of whitish color as well. Big logo on the back, logo on the front. Really good stuff. And if you see here, I'm actually wearing a new T-shirt. I'm going to take that down for a second. I've got on one of our brand new Moving the Chains T-shirts here. We've got some gray. We've got some black for you guys as well. Also got a couple pink ones for the ladies. Limited supply, so make sure you reach out to us quickly about those. Love to get you guys wearing some of our merch at the games. We try to be pretty reasonably on our prices. What's killing us, guys, is the shipping. So if you have an idea for that, let us know. But shoot us a DM here, Twitter, Facebook, email, whatever. Love to get you guys wearing some merch out at the ball games. But this week, John, we're going to do it a little bit flip from how we typically do it. Normally here we start off with the CONA games of the week right off the bat. This week we're going to do those last. We kind of watched Game Day a little bit.
Game Day does it, yeah.
They do the big games at the end of the show. Let's do it this way. So let's start off, John. Let's roll through 5A all the way down through SCISA. Then we'll hit our CONA games of the week. We got 5 big ones, John. I'm sure you'll mention them as we go by them. We will break those down at the end of the show. But let's take a look now, John, at the 5A slate. Jerel, anybody we need to say hey to before we start doing that, though?
Caught me off guard. Let me pop up some comments for you.
Caught myself off guard. Kevron, good to see you, man. Great collegiate. Big matchup this week with Dutch Fork. Talk about that here in a minute. Chris, good seeing you here, man. Appreciate you as always. Cam says, Big Thurmond in here. Hey, always. One of our CONA games of the week we'll break down here at the end of the show. Zach says, Big Red Machine on a revenge tour to Panther Country on Thursday. Yeah, they're still a little bit salty about that Chapman-Clinton game a couple years ago. It'll be a fun one between those two. I guess you can maybe call them rivals now, really.
Yeah.
Steven says, as of now, Trojan Stallion still on Friday, 7:30 is football, not baseball. I love it.
Good
Steven,
point.
John and I talk about it every year. So does Jerel. That, when we were growing up, if it was raining, you just played in the rain. There was no moving. It was, we got wet that night.
Yeah, it happens.
I guess now they're worried about attendance and whatnot. So we'll see, but we'll be sure to see how that shakes out. Jackson says, no, I heard about Woodruff dropping 62 on Emerald. Yeah, big win for Coach Sloan's Wolverines last week. They looked really good. They've looked really good all season long, honestly.
Yeah.
Anthony says Marbury looks very good. Big win from against Conway on Friday. We'll break that one down here in a minute as well. Bradley says Big Gaffney in the house. Appreciate you, Bradley, being in here, man. The Indians are rolling right now. Bossman says, let's go Big Strom Thurmond. Hey, those boys are playing some ball. We'll get a big test this week. Allie says Big Wilson Elko in here. Appreciate you hopping in here as well, Allie.
Let's get rolling, guys.
Let's look at the 5A slate here, John. Work our way down and then hit our CONA games of the week to end the show.
Starting with 5A, we'll try to point out some Thursday games when we know what they are. If we don't know, let us know. Starting off, Lugoff Elgin will be at Aiken.
Thursday game there.
There you go. First one.
Yeah, Lugoff Elgin, John, I know, you're a big fan of the boys. Playing some good ball for Coach Boy right now.
They're playing tough. They got a great chance to go start season 3-1, which
Mhm.
is which would be incredible.
Yeah.
Good to see them start to turn things the right way. Westwood will be at Airport.
Two teams, I think, looking for their first win still. A little bit of a surprise. I thought both teams had a chance to make some noise this year. They still do. Obviously, it's been just non-region play, but interesting Midlands ball game between those two.
Goose Creek will go to Beaufort. Ridgeview will be at Camden.
Ridgeview, a team that needs a win. It's going to be tough this week. Camden is a tough out, as you saw last week, John. Ridgeview has played a really tough schedule with Northwestern already and Dutch Fork already as well. Will be a fun matchup with some pretty good athletes on the field between those two.
Yeah, not a whole lot easier this week for the Blazers.
Looking forward to JoJo Krim, Jordan Gidron matchup. That could be a lot of fun there. Krim on the defensive backside and Gidron, one of the best receivers we have in the state.
That will be great. We'll see James Island going to Cane Bay. Irma will be at Carolina Forest. Spring Valley goes to Catawba Ridge. Newberry is at Chapin.
Newberry, an interesting matchup here for them. You know, they took a tough loss last week to Clinton. Could not really get the offense rolling, it felt like. Chapin, a team that's kind of flying under the radar, but they put up a lot of points. So, you know, Brady Albro and Stone Furry and those guys are lighting up the scoreboard. I'm interested to see how Newberry bounces back from that tough loss last week.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a tough game for the Bulldogs. Chapin's really got it going on. It's going to be a tough game for Newberry, but that's okay.
Yeah,
we're
going up 2 classes. Yeah.
It's out of region. You know, just get better and use this as an opportunity to learn. Sumter will be at Crestwood, a little Sumter County rivalry there. We will see Blue Ridge at Eastside. One of our CONA games of the week. Actually, no, it's not.
Scratch that. Let's go on to the next game.
It's a good game, though. Gray at Dutch Fork, 2 really premier programs. Should be a good game there in Irma. Gaffney will host Freedom out of North Carolina. River Bluff goes to Gilbert. Burns will be at Greer. Blythewood goes to Keenan. Fort Mill is at Lancaster. Greenwood goes to Lexington.
Lexington continues to find ways to win ball games, and they come back from a 14-point deficit last week to beat Midland Valley. Greenwood has showed some flashes this year. I like Tristan Lewis at quarterback. Tough loss to Dorman, though. We'll see how they bounce back from that.
I think they are improved this year. We'll see how it plays out. Hanahan is at Lucy Beckham. Richland Northeast will go to Nation Ford. Loris is at North Myrtle Beach.
The Lions, they continue to roll. Another big win over South Columbus last week. They keep playing bigger schools with Conway and some of these other guys, and they keep hammering them, John. I think they do it again this week.
I think so, too. We'll see Ashley Ridge go to Oceanside. Hartsville will be at Rock Hill.
That's a Thursday one as well. I saw Rock Hill got their first win last week, a win over Lancaster. Hartsville, you saw them, firsthand experience there, John. Another good football team. Some good athletes there with Malik Clark on the Rock Hill side, and obviously everybody that Hartsville has. Could be a fun matchup, but I think Hartsville a little bit of an edge here, I think, in this matchup.
Yeah, they've got a lot of speed on offense with the Waters and I believe Kelly is the other, or Miller.
Kyler
Miller. Ton of speed in the backfield for Hartsville. They're going to be a tough matchup for Rock Hill. We'll see Fort Dorchester go to South Lawrence.
That's one that is interesting to me. Almost one of our games, Luke. We didn't quite make it there, but Fort Dorchester, they're undefeated. They have not blown anybody out. They're playing a lot of really close ball games. Had a nice win over Stratford last week. South Lawrence, on the other hand, they've taken on the chin the last couple of weeks. They're playing Somerville, playing Northwestern. Not an easy task. Opened the season with West Florence. They did get a win in that one, but they've got a couple injuries here. They're still working out some new things. You lost a lot of pieces last year on offense and defense. Coach Marlowe and his guys are still kind of figuring it out there. They need a good showing this week just for morale, probably, honestly. Like, hey, even if you don't win the game, you need to be competitive, be in that ball game. I think they will still be a team to be reckoned with at the end of the season. Right now, I'm not sure what to make of them, but that'll be an interesting ball game. I think we'll learn a lot more about Fort Dorchester probably than we do South Florence in that one.
Yeah, and this is a game where I'm really not sure, what's going to happen, but I agree with you. Got to see a good performance from the Bruins, South Lawrence. They're not used to getting beat like they've gotten beat the last couple of weeks. This has been an awesome program. Still is a good program, but yeah, you got to get a little bit of that mojo back and remember, hey, we're going to be a really tough team to play in 4A. We'll see. Here's one of our kind of games of the week. Northwestern at South Pointe has become a great York County rivalry. That will be a really good game. And as one of our viewers told us, still set for Friday night. They're playing football, not baseball.
Yeah.
So respect that out of York County.
Yeah,
we'll break that still holds.
And we'll break that one down at the end of the show here in our CONA game of the week segment.
Wanda will go to St. James. Colleton County is at RB Stall. Saga State will go to Stratford. Berkeley is at West Ashley.
An interesting matchup there. Berkeley, a loss last week to Somerville, played them well, just didn't quite have enough firepower there. West Ashley has had a couple nice wins early, had a tough loss to May River. They're going to be a big physical team. They're going to punch you in the mouth. Is Berkeley and that young group ready for that? I think so. With Henry Rivers, I think what Coach Lodge is doing is really impressive there. But that could be a sneaky good game down there in the Low Country.
Yeah. I think Berkeley's a team to really watch this year. They're gonna be tough. We'll see Wilson at West Florence. Woodmont goes to that red hot Woodruff team.
That could be fun. You could see some points in that one. Woodmont, a nice win last week. Woodruff, a team that we've seen has been lighting up the scoreboard there. You could see a bit of a shootout. Woodruff going up, I guess, 2 classes now in this one. I like what Coach Sloan's doing. I like those guys a lot, but that could be a really fun ball game.
And that game's at Woodruff, too. I'm leaning Wolverines in this game. And if they win this game, that's just another notch in their resume as being a really big-time contender. We'll see TL Hannah going to Wren. TL Hannah trying to get bounce back after that big loss to Westside last week.
That's a Thursday game as well.
Okay.
I think Wren has something for the Yellow Jackets. I like what Wren and Coach Freight are doing there with Colton Bagwell, Reese Price, Cam Sanders, that whole crew there. They've got some really talented pieces. Coach Freight's a great defensive football coach. He's not going to be the guy that's going to be caught off guard by that TL Hannah, option, rushing, wing two, whatever you want to call it there. He's going to have a good game plan in place for it. Can the guys stay disciplined? That's the key, of course, there on facing somebody like TL Hannah.
And for Wren, they've got some great tape to review to see how to score a lot of points on that Yellow Jacket defense, too. You don't typically see TL Hannah giving up 56 points to anybody. So we'll see if they can right the ship a little bit. But I agree with you. I think that's going to be a really good game in Wren. And then we will have Clover at York as well. And that wraps up 5A, but our hometown connection game of the week.
Yeah.
Marlboro County traveling to Conway.
Yeah, HTC hometown connection, Marlboro County at Conway. Marlboro County 3-0 in the season. Conway 1-2, I believe their record is now. Marlboro County, a big win, 40-28 over Scotland out of North Carolina last week. Conway, they snapped a 6-game losing streak with a 20-16 win over Jerel. Marlboro County quarterback Nidarian Blackwell, running back Josiah Robinson, DB Jacarion Keenan, defensive lineman Josiah Dwyer last week, John. 9 tackles, 4 TFLs, 2 sacks for the Bulldogs there. Playmakers Justin Purvis, Donovan Outlaw, Jaden Covington also had 10 tackles for the Bulldogs last week for Coach Johnson's squad there. Conway, quarterback Noah Legg, 2 TDs last week. Receiver Jordan Jenkins, 4 for 113 and a TD. Running back Jordan Taylor with a touchdown as well. I know this is a 3A, 5A matchup. Conway's already lost to 1 3A team in Loris earlier this year. I know they got a win last week, John, but I think this Marlboro County team, with all their new coaches, all their new talent, what Coach Johnson's doing there, I think the Bulldogs can go over to Conway and get this win.
I think so too. And I was a little surprised. I thought Strom might pull it out last week too, and that was a great game. 2016, very competitive.
20-16, yeah.
I think Marlboro County is a little bit better than Jerel, though. I think Marlboro County.
They already beat Jerel.
Yeah, Marlboro County. I think this will be a pretty competitive ball game. But I like the Bulldogs. Curtis thinks they're going to win easy, and I want to be very surprised.
Yeah,
Marlboro County's for real this year.
If you look back at last week, that win over Jerel, Conway had 4 turnovers. If you do that against Marlboro County, you're not going to win the football game. I know that they threw 3 picks as well. The quarterback did. Then Marlboro County secondary, Jacarion Keenan, I believe, is a Rutgers commit. They got some really good players on the back end there with him and some of those other guys. I believe Purvis is a DB as well for them there. That team is rolling. I'm interested to see, we lead into region play. We mentioned Loris and Dillon be huge games for them now. But I think they win again on the road. Drew, any thoughts from you on this HTC hometown connection game between Marlboro County and Conway?
I got to agree with Curtis there. I think Marlboro wins this game easy. They've really got that system rolling for Coach Johnson there. They've played really well. And, Conway did get a struggle win last week against Jerel, but I think Marlboro County is just going to be too much for them. I saw a fun fact on Twitter earlier today. Marlboro County 3-0, obviously, this year so far. That Clinton team that, that staff left up in North Carolina, they are 0-3 this year after playing for a state title and have been outscored 144-0. So that just shows the
tough start for Clinton so far, huh? Over in the North Carolina Clinton,
North
start
Carolina
for sure.
Clintons. But yeah, that just shows how valuable that coaching staff and everything has been so far there at Marlboro County. I think they're going to win this game fairly easily.
Yeah, once again, our HTC Hometown Connection game of the week, Marlboro County traveling to Conway. Each week we'll have a game either in Marion, Horry, or Georgetown County as our HTC Hometown Connection game of the week. Check them out for all your services. HTC, this is life. Eldor says, dogs off the chain. Let's go. Hey, the boys are playing some ball right now, Eldor. I think they get another win. Yeah, HTC, this is life. Connect with it. Jerel, any comments on 5A before we move down to the 4A slate now?
Not specific to 5A, but we got comments aplenty. I'm going to throw them up early in the show.
Oh, okay. So we'll keep going.
As we go during the show. Oh, sorry. Sorry for the brain freeze there.
No. I'm just going to throw them up now. So we'll just go.
Heather says MVP. Heather, the Stars keep flying up the polls right now. They're looking great. Wren Hurricanes Charles, we just broke down that game. We're really high on Wren. Should be a fun matchup on Thursday now. Chris says Camden's a juggernaut. They had that tough loss to White Knoll early on, but they played really good football since then. They're always a tough team, John.
The defensive line is very, very good, and they've got a quicker version of Grayson White this year and Wyatt Thompson.
Not what teams across the state want to hear, that's for sure.
For later in the show, but just to keep
Alice says Wilson, Elko, Eau Claire. We'll get to that one here later on, Allie. I will say early lean is Wilson, Elko, but we'll give our pick when we get to that one here later on. Jesse says Lugoff by 24. I could see it.
Man, they might.
This could
be win.
This could be John. Coach Bullware known for the offense, the air raid, the throw it around. This could be really the coming out party for that. He has had a couple games like that first game. They scored right around 30, I believe, in 35 in the first win, 31 last week, I think, in that win. Not as many against Camden. They lost, of course, there. But this could be a game. They might light it up and go for 40, 50. This could be the game where they show out and say, hey, this is a different Demon squad.
And anything you can do to keep building the confidence in those guys, do it. Do it.
Jesse or Chris says, can Gray match up with Dutch Fork? They don't have the depth of Dutch Fork. That's going to be a problem. Can they hang around? Is their front line? Are their front line guys good enough?
I think so.
I don't know if they're going to have to beat them. They're going to have to hang in the game for sure. But do they get worn down? That'll be an issue. It's just that's always a problem when you've got a smaller school going at somebody with Dutch Fork is going to dress out a ton more kids. And Dutch Fork on defense is really salty. Josh Smith up front, Elgin Sessions at the back end, two really, really good players, two D1 guys already. Elgin Sessions going to West Virginia, take me home. Josh Smith, Coastal commits. He got a couple big Power 5 offers, I think, in the last week or so may end up somewhere else. We'll see how that goes. Gray, we know what they've got with Montgomery and Waller and, Stroman and Gant and those guys.
They're big and physical.
We'll see. It'll be a fun game. I think you got to pick Dutch Fork. You do.
Yeah.
But I think Gray can certainly hang around and be competitive for a while in that game at least.
I think it's a fourth quarter ball game.
Can't mention that Dutch Fork defense without Raleigh Salters, too, that linebacker.
Great point. Great linebacker there, Raleigh Salters. What's up, guys? Hampton County in the house. They've got a fun game, Terrence and Vanessa. Yeah, big one for Hampton County this week. They are playing good football as well, a team that I think is undefeated and sits at maybe the top of one of the 2A polls.
I think they are. Been at the top.
Yeah. Camden defense will be probably one of the region. They certainly will, Cedric. When I think of Camden, John, I think of big, physical, defensive players, and they've got them again this year.
And their secondary is good too. I mean, it's Hartsville last week. Hartsville's a great team, and EJ Smith's a pretty good quarterback. I mean, you miss by you got to put the ball right on the guy because that Camden secondary, if they gave a step, they didn't give two. It's tight coverage, and we got pretty good coverage and a great defensive line. There's not a whole lot of room for error.
Perfect.
I don't know if you guys have seen the Sports Report poll, but I have not seen it.
It's also HSR perhaps Batesburg-Leesville beat Abbeville and jumped one spot, so there's a bind jumps 5 spots. I'll tell you this, Chris. We tend to say that we don't give a lot of these polls too much credence, and that is one in particular. You look at what they do in the preseason, doesn't make a lot of sense. What they do in the season doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't. That's not one that I put a lot of stock into. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah, and I don't like, when we do our top 5, we'll do that here in the next couple weeks.
Next week.
Next week. I don't like rewarding teams for being off.
Yep.
I mean, you didn't do anything. You literally didn't do anything. You could have played somebody and gotten 50 burgered.
Yep.
I don't move a team up just because they had to buy, unless everybody in front of them loses.
Yeah.
Let's go to 4A, guys.
Looking down at 4A now, John.
Starting in the Midlands, we've got Lawrence going to AC Flora. South Aiken will go to Barnwell.
Sneaky good game there, I feel like. South Aiken, a tough loss to North Augusta last week, but Juju Edwards did run for 200 plus. Barnwell, a nice win over Bamberg-Earhart, 21-7 in that ball game. The Warhorses have played really good football so far this season. Taking a step up in competition, playing a 4A team this week was going to be tough for Coach Smith and the boys. I think that could be a 4-quarter game as well. A lot of physical pieces in that one. A lot of hitting is going to happen in that ball game. I think I'm going to go with Barnwell. A close one late. Cam Austin makes a play to win the game at the end, I think.
Boss man thinking South Aiken's going to take it. We'll see one of our CONA games of the week.
Yep.
Lower Richland going to that Batesburg-Leesville program that had that big win over Abbeville last week. We'll talk more about that game here toward the back end of the show. Goose Creek will be at Beaufort. Philip Simmons goes to Bishop England.
Interesting game down there. Philip Simmons is playing good football. Had a nice win over Hanahan earlier on in the year. Jerel saw Bishop England last week. A nice win over Hanahan as well. Coach Hall and the boys are 2-0. You got to wonder at some point, similar to the Gray situation, when does that depth kind of catch up to them? Their program that went from, I think, 2A up to 4A in this recent reclass because of the multiplier. Can they hang with some of these bigger guys, some of these tougher teams? We'll see. A fun game down there in the Charleston area.
Yeah, they've done well so far.
Yeah.
Been impressed. That Hampton County program, they will be at Bluffton this week.
Bluffton 2-1, Hampton County 3-0. Bluffton's tough to tell because they have not played anybody to this stature so far. So I don't know really what to make of Bluffton. Hampton County, I think they're good. Silver Bluff, they did struggle with them last week. So I think Silver Bluff's still a solid football team. Hampton County with Coach Hannah there is really built a nice program the last couple of years. Had a lot of success, and I think they get a win again this week.
I think so too. We'll see Darlington at Jerel. This is a pretty good ball game right here.
That game is still on for Friday as of now. You've got a lot of athletes there. Jalen Augustus. Obviously, the Gordon kid for Jerel is a playmaker. Also, the other guys they have there will be a fun matchup down there in the PD area, if you want to call it that.
Lakewood will be at East Clarendon. We will see Blue Ridge going to Eastside. Broome is at Emerald. Carolina will go to Fountain Inn. River Bluff is at Gilbert. Hilton Head going to Hardyville. Fort Mill is at Lancaster. Brooklyn Casey on the road to May River.
Another Thursday night game. May River playing great football, still undefeated. I think BC may still be winless unless they got one last. I can't remember. But May River looks really good right now for Coach Bonneville.
St. Joseph's will be at Pickens. We'll see Berea going to Southside High School. Colleton County will be at RB Stall. One of our CONA games of the week here. North Augusta going to Strom Thurmond. I know a lot of you want to hear about that game.
Yes.
We'll talk about that game. We'll be talking about that one too toward the back end of the show.
Yep.
Seneca will be at Walhalla.
Thursday for that one as well.
And that wraps it up. Or this one, big time game.
Yeah.
Probably the game of the week for the entire state. Belton-Honea Path going to Westside. Another really, really good Anderson County rivalry. We'll talk about this one toward the end of the show as well.
Yeah, that'll be another CONA game of the week. We'll break down. Dion, we'll get to that one here in a bit. Jerel, any other 4A comments if we're looking at the 3A slate?
Let's keep rolling, guys.
Perfect. Looking down now at 3A, John.
In the 3A, we got Battery Creek going to Bethune-Bowman. Union will be at Blacksburg. Silver Bluff going to Blackville-Hilda. Two good programs there.
I like that game there. Blackville-Hilda went up and won a nice game over 96 last week, a bigger program there. Silver Bluff still figuring out a couple pieces there. Blacksburg and Union moved to Wednesday. Interesting. Okay.
All right, tomorrow night.
You can catch out three.
I like
catch
it.
3 games this week if you want to now. Yeah. Blackville-Hilda is really come on strong since that opening week loss to Barnwell there. We know what they got with Jaquel Holman and Samari Rogers and Namir Anderson, those guys there for Coach Jones. But, this game is going to be interesting because I think Blackville-Hilda, we know what they are. We know they're a good football team. We know they're going to be there at the end of 1A. Silver Bluff, we're still trying to kind of get a good feel for. They've had a couple tough losses, replacing a lot of pieces, replacing a new head coach as well. How good will they be? We'll see. They took it on the chin against Strom Thurmond a couple weeks ago, lost to Hampton County, I believe, last week. They need to kind of start showing some progression here, hopefully, in the next couple weeks. But I think Blackville-Hilda could go up another class and win this game again.
They very well could. I think this will be a good game. I like Silver Bluff to pull it out, though. Georgetown will be at Carver's Bay. Newberry goes to Chapin. Talked about this game a little bit. Clinton going to Chapman, looking for a little revenge. That's going to be a heck of a ball game up there in Inman.
Thursday night, the Red Devils defense under Coach Campbell there has been lights out last 2 weeks. Holding, I think, Lawrence to like $175 and then holding Newberry to 7 offensive points. They had another 7 on a kick return last week. They are flying around for Coach Campbell and Coach Fountain right now. Clinton playing good football. Chapman's still kind of figuring out some pieces there. I think Clinton rolls on the road.
Yeah, I think the Red Devils win that one too. Mountain View, we talked about them a little bit. They will go to Crescent. I think they just mash again in this game.
They're playing good football, man. An interesting fact about Mountain View I noticed today, they only play 3 home games this year. I guess with them still not having a full stadium, they're actually going to play 2 at Presbyterian College, and I think 1 at Limestone, I believe.
That's pretty cool.
So they don't play a whole lot of home games because they don't really have a home facility right now, but they're playing good football for Coach Ramsey. We talked about the names, obviously. Jalen McGill, Bryson Drummond, KD Hainsworth, Shamon Black. I mean, just stud. And it's funny to me when you look at those polls that we said that sometimes we don't give a lot of credence to. They started out the year, I think, maybe outside of the poll, and now they're up to maybe 3 or 4 here a couple weeks in. So they're playing good ball, and they're going to be a tough out. I think they win again this week.
We'll see. Here's a good game here in the PD. Marion going to Dillon.
Thursday.
I'm not sure what to think about Marion, but I think Dillon wins this game.
Marion is in a tough spot right now. Got hammered by West Florence last week. Got hammered by Lakeview in week 0. They did beat Latta week 1, but Dillon has played good football, kind of flying under the radar a little bit. Haven't had a huge matchup in state yet. They played Scotland County. Still working on the new quarterback, Ramon Hamilton there, which Marion Fling and those guys. I think Dillon rolls big again in this one.
We'll see Orangeburg-Wilkinson going to Edisto. McCormick will be at Fox Creek. West Oak goes into Georgia. They'll play Franklin County. Ainers at Green Sea Floyd's.
That's a Thursday game as well.
Okay. Loris will go to North Myrtle Beach. Liberty is at Palmetto. Swansea goes to Pelion. Pendleton is at Powdersville.
I believe that Swansea-Pelion game is Thursday, and Pendleton-Powdersville, I think it's Thursday as well.
Okay.
Powdersville needs a win. They're 0-3 right now. They played some tough competition, lost some close games. Pendleton playing good football right now. Lost to Woodmont last week, a bigger school, but it should be an interesting 3A matchup there. We'll really see, I think, what both these teams are made of in this one.
Yeah, I think if Powdersville can find a way to win that game, that's a really, really big statement for the Patriots. I'm leaning Pendleton in this game, though. I think Pendleton's pretty good. North Charleston will go to St. John's. Johnsonville is at Waccamaw. Seneca goes to Walhalla. And that wraps up our 3A slate.
Jerel, any comments on 3A from you or the chat? Curtis says, Dylan Marlboro game still a talk of both counties. Yeah, that's going to be a huge one. It's always a big matchup, but even, this year when both teams we think are pretty daggum good, John, it's going to be a fantastic ball game there in the Highway 9 rivalry.
See if anybody's shooting any signs yet.
Morris, MVP Woodruff, winner of home field advantage in 3A Upper State playoffs. Yeah, I believe the brackets came out either last weekend or early this week. I saw those, so I haven't gotten that deep into the weeds to see which regions where, but those are out now if you want to find them. They're on the SCHSL website. Either one of those things are home field. I guess MVP, I don't know where they're going to be playing them. I don't know where that will work out, but going to Woodruff's not an easy place to go.
Well, and and I don't know how the schedules work out with Limestone and PC, but gosh, if you could play a playoff game in one of those 2 stadiums, that would be really cool for the kids too.
Yeah.
So that would be fun. And hey, that would work out in MVP's favor too, in my opinion, because you've already played at each of those buildings, at least once before. So it's more new to whoever comes in there than for you. And you got a little bit of a shock factor being a big building too. So that's good enough. Thanks for bringing that up.
Zach says Clinton Jr. Trey Aiken picked up a South Carolina offer on Monday. Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I think he had a lot of decent offers this summer after some camps and whatnot, but he is a impressive physical specimen. We saw him on the field week 0. Really big kid, really, good looking athlete there. He's going to have some more big offers coming his way for sure.
Very good. Congratulations to him.
That is it for the comments right now.
Perfect, Drill. Let's shout out some friends of the program then before we look down at the 2A slate.
Need a new ride to get you to the big game? Founders Federal Credit Union has auto loan rates that'll get you in the driver's seat without breaking the bank. And here's the best part. No payment for up to 90 days. Drive to victory with a loan that suits your budget. Visit foundersfcu.com/auto today and score your dream car with an auto loan from Founders. Terms and conditions apply. Member qualification required.
At HTC, we're here to keep you connected. here to provide reliable fiber optic internet with free, fast, and secure HTC Smart Wi-Fi. HTC, here to connect.
John, let's take a look down now at the 2A slate. 2A slate.
Starting 2A, Andrew Jackson goes to Andrews.
That's a Thursday game as well between those two.
That'll be a fun game.
Mm-hmm.
HA's playing a little bit better than I thought they would. Academic Magnet will go to Baptist Hill. We'll see, skipping through a few that we've already mentioned here. Hemingway will go to Burke. Chesterfield is at C.A. Johnson.
Chesterfield, 3-0. They keep winning football games. They came back, had I think it converted a 4th and 15 or 4th and 25 last week, drove down to win the game against Lee Central. Coach Quinn has those guys believing. I think last year they won like 1 or 2 games the whole year. Already at 3, playing football. I saw them in the back end of the poll this week as well. I'm really impressed with what the Rams are doing so far.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Wilson Elko at Eau Claire. I know.
I think it was Allie asked about this game earlier. Yeah.
I think Eau Claire had a big win. They snapped a big
They
skid,
did. Eau Claire, I think it
2
was
weeks ago?
25-game losing streak, something like that. 2 weeks ago with a nice win over Bethune-Bowman. Started a new one last week with a tough loss to Greenwood Christian. Wilson Elko, I think, is the better football team in this game. I think they win this matchup.
I think so too. We'll see Columbia going to Great Falls. Timberland is at Kingstree.
Timberland, a nice win over Cross last week. The Wolves have some big-time playmakers. Kingstree had a tough start to the season so far. I think a lot of good athletes in that ballgame. I think Timberland wins pretty handily.
Lamar goes to Lake City.
Lamar needs a bounce back. Surprising loss, I will just say. Surprising loss to Central of Pageland, as we learned.
Yeah.
Central of Pageland, right? No, what's that?
Central
of
of
Pageland.
Pageland,
Yes,
yeah.
Central Pageland last week. Surprising 40-38 loss for the Silver Foxes there. Lake City, they're a good football team. Lamar needs to play well this week.
Yeah, and Central of Pageland's been surprising. They're another program that's playing better than what at least I expected them to be playing at this point of this year. We'll see that crossing we just mentioned. They will be at Lake Marion. Mullins goes to Latta.
Mullins is a story that I feel like I keep bringing up every week, but I mean, they're just impressive that, they went winless last year. They're 3-0 now. Another nice win last week over Green Sea Floyd's. I think they've got a real chance to go to 4-0. Latta, not quite as good as their team was last year. I feel like they had a couple nice wins. I think they're 2-1 or 1-2. But what Mullins is doing with Coach Lowry is really impressive. Can't say enough about those guys so far.
Yeah, it'd be a big deal if they can get a win this week as well. I would say Friday. I'm not sure if it's Friday or Thursday, but
have not seen an update on that one yet.
But yeah, Mullins off to a great start. And I feel like we keep saying this. Hey, this team was not very good last year, and here they are. They're 3-0 or they're 2-1, which is great to see.
Yep.
Here's a pretty good game here. New number 1 in the 1A poll, Louisville. They will host Fairfield Central. That'll be a pretty fun ball game there. 2A Fairfield Central, 1A Louisville.
Thursday game as well. I believe they're Adrian. A lot of athletes. Tydarian Greer is a stud there for Fairfield Central. We know what Louisville has. The quarterback situation has been figured out, and they're playing great right now. We know with Rogers and Robinson and Howes and all those studs there for Coach Usher. Louisville looks really good. Could be some points scored in that one, but I do like Louisville. I think to win this one by a few scores for sure.
By a few scores. Okay. I think it's going to be a really tight game. I think it's going to be a fun one. Richland will be at Manning. Buford will go to McBee. Abbeville is at 96.
Abbeville needs a nice bounce back. I believe this year, this is, a region game. Abbeville handled them pretty easily at the end of the season. DeMarcus Leach played great quarterback right now for Abbeville, running and throwing. Carson Norman at the running back spots playing good football as well. 96, that they've struggled so far this year. Zay King's had some big games running the ball, but outside of him, they hadn't found some big contributors at this point. I think Abbeville gets back on the right side this week.
Mid-Carolina will travel to North Central. Liberty is at Palmetto.
Liberty playing good football, lost a tough one to Pickens last week. Palmetto, Coach Norton, I believe, is 2-1, so they're off to a good start as well.
Landrum will go across the state line, which is, you could walk across the state line from Landrum.
Yeah, they are the state line, right?
Yeah. They will go to Polk County. American Leadership will go to Rich Spring Minetta.
I believe that is Thursday.
Okay. Chesney goes to North Carolina as well. They'll play RS Central.
Chesney playing good ball for Coach Chappell so far.
This was a big game a couple weeks ago. Now it's still a big game, but we'll see what happens. Chester going to Saluda. The Cyclones have dealt with some injuries with quarterback.
Yep.
Not sure if he's going to be back or not.
A Thursday game as well for this one. I just salute to a team that we mentioned in our season preview show, John. We didn't know a whole lot about. I think they brought back a couple pieces here and there, but just not a ton. It didn't feel like, but yet they looked good. Had a bye week last week. This game's going to show me a lot. Even with Chester not being at full strength, I think we'll learn a lot more about the Tigers in this matchup.
Yeah. And Chester could use a little bit of a bounce back here too. This should be still a really good game. And Woodland will be at Whale Branch.
Perfect. Any 2A comments here, Jerel? We'll see a Johnson be a Thursday night game. Who are they playing? We saw it earlier. Chester Johnson. I've not heard yet, Walter. I have not seen a confirmation either way on that one. Brian Dent says Timberland 2-1 goes to King Street. Yeah, I think Timberland wins this game again. They're playing good football right now. Played a Lake City team, really tight a couple weeks ago. I think the Wolves are in for a good season. I think they win again this week after a big win over Cross, 43-14 back in week 2. Seneca Walhalla asked Desmond, that's a game that, I thought I had a pretty good read on Walhalla, and they had an odd loss last week. It kind of caught me off guard there. You're taking that L. Silas Parrish had a big game, but I didn't think they were going to lose that one. Seneca has been playing pretty good there. Raphael Little for Coach Crane and whatnot. I think Walhalla on Thursday night at home, I think gets back on the right side of things.
I'm going to take Seneca. I'm not super confident about it, but I'm going to pick Seneca there.
Yeah.
That is all that we have there. We can go to 1A. And Chris, I want to tell you, thanks for the concern of my voice. My voice is from cheering for Clemson's offense. They scored like 6 games worth of points on Saturday, so that's why my voice sounds like this. Appreciate the concern.
I was about to say, Jerel, you've been kind of quiet this tonight. Do you have any thoughts yourself on any of these games? I mean, we're just rolling through the classes, and Jerel's just sitting back there.
I'm just letting the professionals do what they need to do, resting the voice up for next week.
Where are they?
Where are they? Let's take a look down now at 1A, Johnny, and go through that class.
Yeah, we'll have Wagner Sally going to Allendale Fairfax.
Wagner Sally, I believe, gets a nice win this week. I don't know, Fairfax not playing good football right now. Coach Gillespie's squad, I think, is much improved. Drill, still got this comment over here, by the way. I don't know if you said it or not. But, yeah, go ahead, John. We can roll through some more 1A.
Calhoun County goes to Bamberg-Earhart. That should be a pretty good game there.
Bamberg-Earhart needs a nice bounce back. Had a tough loss to Barnwell last week. I think they roll in this one.
We'll have Hunter Kenner Tyler going to Denmark-Olar.
That's a sneaky good game. HKT is a good football team. Took it on the chin against Louisville 2 weeks ago. Denmark-Olar, a lot of talent there for those guys. Could be a high-scoring matchup.
Yeah. McCormick goes to Fox Creek. We'll have, let's see, a lot of these are repeats. Hannah Pamplico goes to Lee Central. We'll have Lakeview going to Scotch Branch. And Ware Shoals will host Towns County out of Georgia. I don't know a ton of Georgia geography. I've never heard of Towns County. Whitmire will host Greenwood Christian.
I say, if Towns County, if they're playing a 1A school like Ware Shoals, they got to be pretty dang small themselves. So I can guess. But I don't know a dang thing about Towns County. Drew, any 1A comments from you or for the chat before we look at the SCISA slate right quick?
Let's roll the SCISA, guys.
Perfect. We've got Hilton Head Christian traveling to John Paul II. Lee Academy at Buford Academy. That game, Lee Academy at Buford and Williamsburg Thomas Hay were 2 really big 1A games. Probably the 4 best teams in 1A in SCISA. That'll show a lot for that landscape there in that class of SCISA ball. Newberry goes to King. Harvest Christian goes to Palmetto Christian. Community Military to Pinewood Prep. First Baptist travels to Trinity Collegiate. Cross to Holly Hill. Hammond to Heathwood Hall. Hammond continues to roll. Heathwood Hall is still looking for their first win, but they played some good football so far. Just haven't had it break their way. Clarendon Hall at Orangeburg Prep. Andrew Jackson at Northside Christian. Hilton Head Prep at Bethesda. Lawrence Academy at Richard Wynn Academy. 2 really good athletes here. Spires McCameron matching up against Charlie Bonds in that one. Wilson Hall at Lawrence Manning. Wilson Hall, a nice win last week for Ben Lippen. LMA needs a bounce back after getting hammered by Northwood in that ball game. We've got St. John's at Carolina. Augusta Christian at Porter Goud. Spartanburg Christian at Thomas Sumter. Wardlaw at Oakbrook Prep. Colt Bailey, one of our players of the week, had a big game last week for Wardlaw. They will continue that. I think they get another win over Oakbrook Prep. Calhoun at Colleton Prep. Christian Academy at Palmetto Christian. And Dorchester at Patrick Henry. And then another big one, 3-0 versus 3-0. Florence Christian travels to PD Academy on Friday as of now still. Florence Christian relying on the freshman quarterback, the Minton kid there. A lot of guys carrying the ball for him defensively. Hardy and Davis and Anderson looking good. PD, Richardson, Trussell, Heckman, Rogers on offense are playing really good football, really dynamic offensively. They've beaten a good Williamsburg team, a good Trinity Collegiate team already. They have lit up the scoreboard so far for Coach King and the Golden Eagles. The O-line is good. The defense is playing well along with Martin and Small, those guys I mentioned earlier. I think the Golden Eagles get the win over the Eagles, and they go to 4-0 at home this Friday. Any comments, Jerel, John, from you guys on SCISA ball before we look at our next part of the show?
Between Waycross. Okay.
Okay, perfect.
Man,
Thank
so
you, Chris.
They're down. I know where Warner Robins is. Okay, man, that's down there. That's middle of the state.
Yeah, not familiar with that part
Okay.
of the town either. So, yeah, if you guys are just tuning in, we're doing a little bit backwards this week. Usually we do our CONA games of the week first. Now we're doing them here later on in the show. We've already gone through 5A through SCISA. Jerel, let's shout out some friends of the program, and then we will break down the biggest games in the state in our CONA games of the week.
The George Agency has been serving the insurance needs of South Carolina for over 40 years. They're a full-line insurance agency concentrated in employee benefits and health insurance with an office in Mullins and Murrells Inlet, but they can help you all across the state. They have clients in Greer, Rock Hill, Columbia, and more, so wherever you are, they can help. Give Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew a call or check them out online at thegeorgeagency.net. That's thegeorgeagency.net.
Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates, CONA, offers the most advanced training and experience in orthopedic surgery, neurosurgery, sports medicine, and pain management in the upstate. 3 convenient locations in Spartanburg, Duncan, and Greenville. Go to CONA.care to learn more.
Okay, John, let's take a look now at our Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates, our CONA games of the week. 4 of the biggest games across the state in the high school league. Also the biggest SCISA game in the state we've got. Let's start with that one, John. Ben Lippen, Coach Weigel's boys at 2-1, traveled to take on Cardinal Newman. 1-2 right now. Cardinal Newman's played a tough schedule, played St. Joe's and Dreher out of the public school ranks there, lost both of those games. Last year, Cardinal Newman hammered Ben Lippen 31-0. Cardinal Newman last week had lost to Dreher 33-13. Quarterback Jason Horton, 12 for 21, 2 touchdowns. Caleb Ford, I know you probably heard before, came over from Gray Collegiate. So far on the year, John, he has 767 rush yards.
Pretty good.
That's 255 a game so far through 3 games.
They're 2 losses.
Yeah, they've got DB wide receiver Freddie Gillens, a weight commits, a good player for them. Preston Thurmond had 14 tackles last week. Savion Taylor Sanders had 10 tackles and 2 TFLs. Ben Lippen, a tough loss to Wilson Hall, 21-7. Last week, though, were the first points they'd allowed all season. They had shut out their first 2 opponents before that game against Wilson Hall. Freshman quarterback KJ Dupree, 15 for 24, 220 and a touchdown. Running back Brandon Mary, wide receiver Jameer Crooks, 7 for 107 and a touchdown. Defensively, Ben Morris, 10 tackles. JoJo Connor, another 8 tackles there. This is a fun matchup in the 4A ranks of SCISA, John. Coach Weigel, Coach Helms, 2 guys that like to get after it. Who do you like in the SCISA matchup?
I like Cardinal Newman. I like the talent that they've got on that sideline. I'm a big proponent of that Cardinal Newman program. I think they're really putting together a lot of work into that football team. I like Cardinal Newman to win this game.
Yeah, it worries me. Ben Lippen, a loss to Wilson Hall last week, a team that likes to run the ball a lot. And I just mentioned Caleb Ford has 767 rush yards so far, 255 a game for Cardinal Newman. Going to be a tough stop for the Falcons there, but I'm really impressed with this freshman quarterback, KJ Dupree. He's looked really good. I don't care what level of ball you're playing. If you're a 9th grader playing quarterback, you got to be pretty dang good. And he's playing good football right now. I think Ben Lippen can squeak this one out, but going to be a really fun matchup at Cardinal Newman. Fantastic ball game there on Friday night. And honestly, could go either way. Jerel, any comments from you on this SCISA game of the week here in our CONA games of the week?
I like Cardinal Newman as well in this football game for the points you mentioned there. They can run the ball, and then Ben Lippen struggled there. I just have this. My heart breaks for Coach Weigel there. I keep looking at these Gaffney stats through 2 weeks and seeing Javon Gilmore light up the scoreboard. I just want to send a hug to Coach Weigel right now.
Yeah, and hey, he may have the next Javon Gilmore here with KJ Dupree, a kid who's playing good football. But yeah, Javon Gilmore, now the Gaffney quarterback, came from Ben Lippen, in case you guys did not know that. But Jerel and John, let's look now at our next CONA game of the week. An interesting matchup here. Lower Richland at 2-1, traveling down to take on the Panthers of Batesburg-Leesville, 2-0. Lower Richland, a nice win, 46-20 over Colleton County. Batesburg-Leesville, maybe the win of the week last week in week 2, John, 37-35 over Abbeville. Who do you like in this matchup? The Diamond Hornets, the Panthers getting after it. Who do you like in this one?
I like Batesburg-Leesville in this game. I think knowing how tough it is for anybody to beat Abbeville.
Yeah.
And the fact that they did it. And I think that game was at
Height Nickel Stadium.
That's pretty incredible. I put a lot of stock in that. What makes it tough for me is, Lower Richland is such a bigger program.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Lower Richland's 4A this
so.
year. Batesburg-Leesville 2A. That's a big step. But I think Batesburg-Leesville, they're good enough to beat a 4A team. And Lower Richland's not terrible. They're not a bad group. I think Batesburg-Leesville can win this game. And if they do win this game, that's going to be a big-time statement for the Panthers.
What was impressive for me last week, John, in that win over Abbeville is it wasn't like a fluke. It wasn't like we had a late tip pass that we somehow caught and ran for touchdown. They basically led the whole game. Like they played really good football there for Coach Lawson. Quarterback, Tanner Watkins, 15 for 17 at 266. Running back Amadre Wooden, 16 for 107 and a touchdown. Receiver KD Witt went 4 for 115, 3 touchdowns there. We talked about them a couple years ago, John, when he got hired. Bunch of young guys, had to really grow up, and they have done so this year, especially playing really good football. Safety Clarence Springs kind of leads that defense. He's a good downhill defender for sure for them. LR on the flip side, quarterback Aiden Jones, running back Jalen Simmons, 14 for 172, 3 touchdowns last week. Receivers defensive players Hill and Samuels and Gee all with double-digit tackles last week. Head coach Marlon Taylor, fantastic coach, comes from that Tom Notch Dutch fork tree there. They're going to be hard-nosed and physical. The worry I have for Batesburg-Leesville, John, is that when you have a big win over Abbeville like you do, a big win over anybody that you haven't experienced win like that before, it's got to be so hard to get back up that next week. That's a tough thing to do. Luckily for them, they're playing at home. I think that's a big plus for the Panthers there. But this should be a really fun ball game. LR, John, they're one loss to your Demons, and that was on a last-second double pass play to win that game. So they could easily be 3-0 at this moment.
Yeah, that is very, very true. I'm kind of on the flip side of what you're thinking with Batesburg-Leesville. I think during camp and preseason, I'm sure they've all been in that locker room saying, hey, we're good. We can play. But then you got to actually go out and beat somebody to fully believe it and know, hey, yeah, I am good. We can win these types of games. And they got it last week. Yeah. I think that's going to fuel them. Now, of course, there's can you get up 2 weeks in a row? But I think that confidence, and with the young guys, with the young people, confidence is a huge, huge thing. You get some good momentum, some good confidence in these kids. You can really take them a long way. And I think for that reason too, I like the Panthers to take this one.
I think if this game was over in Hopkins at Lower Richland, I think I would take the Diamond Hornets. But with it being at Batesburg-Leesville, I'm going to go with the Panthers as well at home. I think they continue to roll, continue to play good football. Jerel, any comments from you or from the chat on this Lower Richland Batesburg-Leesville game or anything else in general?
Nothing makes me happier than getting to pick against both of you. I think Lower Richland's going to win this game. I think Kevin was leaning the way, and that's the way that I'm thinking. Batesburg-Leesville, they've heard, great things all week about how awesome they are, climbing up the polls rapidly. I think this is a trap game. You mentioned, John, 2 classifications different. I think Coach Taylor goes up there and, ekes out a win. I like them close in this one.
I like that. Perfect. Any comments from the chat on that? Chris has Batesburg-Leesville in a close one.
I like that, Chris. I'm thinking so too.
Bradley was shot when Abbeville lost. Yeah, we knew there was a chance. We knew Batesburg was pretty daggum good, but, you still don't expect Abbeville to lose to anybody, really.
I didn't.
That's it for the comments on this game, guys.
Perfect. Let's look now at our next CONA game of the week, John. A fun one down in the CSRA. North Augusta, the Yellow Jackets at 2-1, traveling to the Peachfields to take on Strom Thurmond at 2-0 last year. The Yellow Jackets won this ballgame 23-11. They're coming off a 33-21 win over South Aiken. Quarterback Corey Tillman, one of our Super 75 guys, an absolute electric playmaker, 170, 2 touchdowns passing, another 67 and a touchdown on the ground as well. Mike Doe, a special back, goes 24 for 201, 2 touchdowns last week. Malcolm Gaston up front, getting tons of offers right now. Defensively, DeAndre Baskett up front, Ty Burkle on the back end playing good ball for Coach Bush there. Strom Thurmond coming off a bye. You got to like that there for the Rebels. Quarterback Breshawn Lee. They're really relying on the run game, though. They've got Cam Blacks, who went 18 for 131. Deontay Phillips, 11 for 77 against Silver Bluff, 2 weeks ago. Receiver Jay Sewell. Defensively, Bryson Coleman, Phillips, Blacks. I love Josh Merriweather up front. Another Super 75 guy for us. Really good player on the D-line in that matchup. John, I mentioned last year it was a low-scoring game-ish, 23-11. My thought process right now is North Augusta, probably a little bit better than last year. Strom Thurmond, probably a little bit worse than last year. I know they're at the Peach Fields. I know they're at Strom Thurmond. It's going to be tough for me to make that call.
Yeah, I was saying almost the exact same thing in my own head as well. And, I think Strom Thurmond is certainly good enough to win this ball game. Being at home as well is going to certainly help. I think North Augusta is I think they are the slightly better team in this matchup. Mm-hmm. The one loss is that 1 point loss to a Lexington team
on the 1 yard line. Yeah.
A Lexington team that's just finding ways to win ball games.
Yeah.
I like North Augusta in this game.
Here is the worry, though. If you want to pick Strom Thurmond, here's how you get to that thought process right here. So we mentioned Strom Thurmond, big run game with Cam Blacks, Deontay Phillips. Last week, North Augusta, in that win over South Aiken, Juju Edwards, 200-plus yards on the ground.
He is really good.
So that's where you go. If you want to pick Strom Thurmond, that's your logic, and that's your line of reasoning to get to that pick right there. But I think Corey Tillman, Mike Doe, I think just too much firepower. The loss of Connor Brown at receiver is a big loss for Coach Bush's team. It really is. He'll be back later on in the season. Right now, they're trying to kind of find some pieces to catch the ball. I know they've got, I believe, Nabriet. I think it's how you say his name. I'm not sure. I'd be wrong about that. Sorry, guys, if I am. He's stepping up, but they need Connor Brown back. But I read some quotes from Coach Bush, I think in the past week or so, maybe after that South Aiken game. He said that Lexington game, really kind of woke them up. Like, they knew that was a game they kind of let get away from them. Like, they could have won that one, had a few too many mistakes, just didn't quite capitalize when they should have, didn't execute when they should have. I think this North Augusta team is ready to roll now. And sometimes, a loss can be a good thing for a team, especially non-region. It really gets you going.
Early in the year.
I think North Augusta is poised for a deep run this year. I think they go on the road and win this game. I like Tillman. I like Doe. Like Coach Bush. I think North Augusta wins.
And this would be a really nice win to put on their resume and again, build more confidence for these kids.
Yeah, Jerel, what are your thoughts on this 4A 2A matchup here?
Got a little show solidarity here. I'm going to go with you guys. I think North Augusta wins this football game. It's going to be tough, though, man. Got to go to the Peach Fields. It's just that place is going to be packed. We saw a game there last year.
Always.
It's going to be an amazing environment. These are two schools that are very close with two very passionate fan bases. We probably are going. We might end up there. Who knows? Haven't picked a game yet, depending on the weather situation here. But it's going to be a lot of fun. I think the North Augusta is going to be able to get it done, but should be a heck of a ball game.
Yeah. Any comments from the chat? I'm sure we got a couple guys at least throwing in their 2 cents on that one. Strom Thurmond graduated over 20 seniors last year. Yeah, I think they're good. I mentioned the defensive side. I love the Coleman kid. I love Josh Merriweather, Phillips and Blacks, guys we've heard of before. But I think this ball is going to be a tough matchup for them. Says trust me, our passing game is good. Breshawn Lee played quarterback last year earlier in the season when Quan Edmond was out, so he has experience there. Just has not done it yet this season. And I think to win this game, he's going to have to pass the ball and pass it well. But I still think North Augusta a little too much in this matchup.
They're going to have to play well, though.
Those are all the specific comments here. Oh, I got one more that just rolled in.
Jason says North Augusta by 14. Perfect. All right. Our next CONA game of the week here, a fun matchup, John. Northwestern, the Trojans, 3-0, traveling to South Pointe at 2-1. Always a great matchup. Always athletes all over the field when these two get together. Last week, Northwestern 48-7 over South Florence. South Pointe 63-0 over Valentine Ridge. I saw this game in person last year. Northwestern won 64-31. Probably wasn't that close. But good news for South Pointe. As of last week, Cam McMillan back at quarterback for the Stallions.
Yeah, and also good news for South Pointe. A lot of those dudes on that Northwestern team are playing on Saturdays and not on the Trojan squad for this game. Turbo Richard.
Yeah.
Gotta
Big
give him
game
a
last week
shout
for
out.
BC.
Had a great game. Good to see him getting some success early on for a top 25 Boston College team now. So that's really cool. Back to this game. Yeah, all kind of talent. A great York County matchup, rivalry here. I tell you what, this one's a little bit tough for me because I feel like I haven't learned a ton about either program in the games that they've played thus far. I was blown away by that South Florence win by Northwestern, but I don't know, like we talked about with South Florence earlier, it's hard for me to know how much they've fallen off of last year. I don't think it'd be a ton, but I don't know. I think when it comes down to it, though, I really like Northwestern, where they've got great experience at quarterback. Finley Polk, correct? Finley Polk at quarterback. He's been there a while. Great team. They're well coached. I like Northwestern in this game. I think I just think they're a little bit more of a crisp program. Again, it's hard for me to comment because I just don't know enough about them this year yet. But I think Northwestern's slightly better.
Yeah. South Pointe, last week, Cam McMillan back at the helm there. 11 for 14, 251, 4 touchdowns. Mason Pickett Hicks, 2 touchdowns on the ground. Kerr Beeman Duncan at receiver. Defensively, Jazavian Currents. Everybody knows him. He's the big-time recruit. I think 6'2", 6'3", back there, playing DB, playing linebacker, all over the field. Heck of a player. Played some quarterback when Cam was out earlier this season. Northwestern, John, I'm sold on them. They beat South Florence last week, beat Ridgeview 2 weeks ago, beat Huff in a tough game back in week 0. Finley Polk, another Super 75 guy. Gardner Webb commit 18 for 28, 290 and 5 touchdowns last week. Still working on finding that go-to running back. I think it's going to be Zymir Gordon-Miles, still kind of working him in there as he transitions from DB to running back. Receiver Cam Vance, 7 for 143 touchdowns last week. Nichols and Knox also outside wide for them. Defensively, Watkins, Massey, Greer, Pickett forced 4 turnovers last week against South Florence. Defensive line is really tough with Pickett and Greer up front. And a good kicker also, Matthew Fish, guy spending a lot of big-time spots there for them. I saw this stat earlier. Finley Polk, 3 games into the season, John, 15 touchdowns, 0 picks. That's awesome. Very impressive no matter who you're playing there, but especially that level of talent that the Trojans have been playing. Always, like I mentioned when we entered this game, tons of athletes, both sides of the field. South Pointe, they're going to want some revenge from last year. They're playing at home. I don't think it matters. I think Northwestern rolls. I think it's going to be a blowout. This could be on a clip next week. I don't care. I think Northwestern, the Trojans, Coach Walford and the boys, they're a very good football team. I think they win handily.
Yeah, and and we said this about this Northwestern team last year, all year. They had one slip up, and unfortunately, it was in the playoffs. I don't think this Northwestern team has dropped much off of a performance perspective from what it looks like so far.
Yeah.
Again, South Pointe has the athletes to win this game. Whether they do it or not, I don't know. McMillan, saw him play at Fairfield Central. Very, very good player. I think he is a great guy to have back there for the Stallions. He's very protective of the football. He's not going to put the ball in a ton of danger. He's a smart player. He's got some good experience. I think it'll be a great game. I think it's going to be a little bit closer. I don't think it's going to be an absolute blowout, but I do think Northwestern wins by at least 10.
Perfect. Jerel, comments from you or the chat on this Northwestern South Pointe matchup?
Yeah, I think this is a Northwestern win. I think they win by like 17, something like that. I don't think it's
70.
A blowout.
Wow, Jerel.
17. You're not going to have me on camera or audio of me out there like you like to do. So I can't join you there. I think it's going to be like 17, 10-point game, something like that. More reasonable like John. But I like both of these teams. Down the road, they're going to be great. Both going to be title contenders. I've really been impressed that we had some comments in the chat that South Pointe defense has been very salty this year, only giving up 1 touchdown in 3 games, according to Ryan. So that's awesome to see.
Yeah.
But I just think that Northwestern's got a little bit too much, and I'll throw some more comments up.
Yeah, and I believe their one loss was to Spartanburg, a bigger school there. I think is that week 0, I believe it was, John, instead of week 1. Yeah. But one of the early matchups there. Week 0. Okay. Finley Polk, very impressive. I agree, Bradley. I'm honestly a little surprised he hasn't gotten a bigger offer yet. He's got good size. See what happens here down the line. Chris says, closer by 44. I don't know if I'll say 44, but think they win.
Got to play some good defense.
No offense, Northwestern's just a different animal. And played offense like that. Yeah, you're right, Chris. I mean, that offense is different. Is next level. They got playmakers all over the field. Northwestern is a really, really strong football team.
We also have some commentary has arisen from the previous game of the week as well. So hold on.
Bulldog, our guy Bulldog,
All right.
North Augusta overrated. Hey, I'm high on them. We'll see. That'll be a fun matchup, man. I know you're excited for that one down there at the Peach Fields for sure.
And Corn, obviously a big North Augusta supporter, so they're by 30.
I don't know if I'm taking it by that much, but I think they do win this matchup.
Most definitely. And yes, Nathan, I saw your comment. I will not be eating any hats this year. I'm going to keep my comments much more conservative.
That's not fun, Jerel. That's not fun for anybody. Give it to people what they want.
Hey, it is what it is. I learned my lesson.
You're still alive.
Perfect. Well, our fourth and final, I guess technically fifth and final CONA game of the week here. A big Anderson County matchup. Belton-Honea Path 3-0, traveling to Westside at 2-0. BHP, the Bears rolled over Lawrence 55-6 last week, John. Westside rolled over rival Hannah 56-20 for the Bears. Marquise Henderson, the Clemson commit, Super 75 player for us. 9 carries, 196, 3 touchdowns. Quarterback Noah Thomas, 2 TDs. Justin Lathan, also a backfield threat. Defensively, Kelsey Miles had 11 tackles, 2 TFLs. Kylan Dixon had 6 tackles, 4 TFLs. On the West side, Cutter Woods, South Carolina commit, Super 75 player, 2 touchdown passes, 1 touchdown run. The athletes outside, Camarius Bomar, Armani Weaver. The App State commits playing receiver and DB. Sherrod Richardson, running back DB, running back safety more, but I guess had 2 touchdowns last week. Big game from Zion Paul last week as well, special teams and offensively. Defensively has looked good so far. The Wilsons have been great on defense. A fun matchup here, John, between two rivals. Last year BHP got the better of the Rams early in the season, 43-28. Who do you like in this matchup this year when those two crosstown rivals match up on Friday night?
This is, if I knew nothing about any of these programs, if I knew just who the players were on both sides, I would say, wow, this is going to be a really good game. It's going to have some great firepower in this game. But that Westside team is a way better team. Mm-hmm. They're going to win the game. But that's not always the case.
Yeah.
Westside has won 16 games in a row. Last team to beat them, Belton-Honea Path.
Was that the first game of the season last year?
First
John?
game of the season last year. Beat them by 2 scores.
Yeah.
Anderson County is wild. You got Belton-Honea Path beating Westside beating TL-Hanna. It's
last year was
doesn't
fun.
Make sense.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I think we're going to see a pretty good ball game. And the reason why I say that is because I think Westside is the better football team. I think overall they've got more talent across that sideline than Belton-Honea Path does. But it's going to be very, very tough. And they know this already. This is no news to them. It's going to be very, very tough to stop Marquise Henderson.
Yeah.
And the other issue, slips, is it Lathan?
Yep. Just Lathan. Yep.
The second running back for BHP is a very, very good second option as well. And with Marquise Henderson getting 9-10 carries a game, Lathan gets a lot of reps. He gets the ball a lot. He's not going to be just, oh no, I got to play. I normally don't get to play much. He totes the load too. I think we're going to see a high scoring affair here. I think it's going to be tough for Westside to stop BHP, but I do think they get a couple more stops than BHP does. I think Westside wins this game, but I don't think it's a 56-20 game like we saw Westside TL-Hanna last week, which is crazy to say. I just think Henderson's that good, and BHP, they know how to beat this team.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see a really good ball game. I think it's going to be a single-digit ball game. And if you're Westside, don't turn the ball over. You turn the ball over, it could be 2 years in a row. But I think Westside wins this game. Got to protect the football, though. I think it's going to be a fun shootout.
Yeah, you hit on some good points here, John. I think you're exactly right. This is going to be the heaviest workload of the year for Marquise Henderson. He's had 9, 10, 11-ish carries the first few weeks. He might carry it 20, 25 times this week. He's going to have to, I think, for them to win this ball game. But those guys do a great job getting him involved. with some passes and whatnot as well, not just running the football. And this is it's a game that BHP is not afraid to go in and play Westside. You know, a lot of teams, you're playing the defending 4A state champ who's got a ton of players back, the quarterback going to South Carolina, one of the Mr. Football, favorites probably. A lot of teams might be scared to play them. BHP's not. They beat them last year. On top of that, John, they've won 3 in a row against Westside, actually. So not a fluke when the Bears go on the road and win this matchup. But I think this year, this version of these two teams, I think Westside, a little too much firepower on offense. And the defense has really improved. Holding TL, handed a 20 was nice last week. They played great in the first half against Creekside back in week 0. Second half, not as great, but they played really good early on. I like the defense for Coach Lane's squad, playing much better football this year. And when you got firepower on offense like they do, you don't have to shut a team out. You just got to hold them to under, 28 maybe, and you're going to win probably 99% of those ball games, honestly, with what you got on offense there for Westside. So I think the Rams win this one. I think it's maybe a 10, 14-point game, but I think Coach Lane and the Westside Rams, get some revenge here against the Bears and get a nice win on Friday night.
It will certainly be revenge. I want to throw a couple numbers at you here.
So
last year's game, BHP rushed as a team for 432 yards.
We're going to need to do it again.
Marquise Henderson had 25 carries for 197, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Carter Woods, you had Tank Boston last year. You can argue he's got more weapons. He's got more guys.
And I believe, John, I think at that point, Tank was still injured. I think he was just playing defense at that point, too, not even playing receiver.
Last year, Cutter, 180 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception in that game. BHP, all the talk is about Henderson, right? That's all the talk. I saw them play Broome, and I know Broome's a different animal. I get that. I know that. After that first drive, Broome had a little trick play to get down the field. They suffocated Broome up front. This is a pretty good defensive line. It's pretty good overall defense as well. I don't think either team's – if one of these teams scores 28, they're going to lose. I think you guys score.
I agree.
You guys score more than that. I think both offenses are going to be ahead of the defense in this game. But, it's going to be a heck of a ball. Westside should win this ball game, but you could probably say that the last 3 years too. And it hasn't happened. So this is going to be a great game.
Yeah, it will be fantastic. There are 2 great coaches, Coach Lane and Coach Blackston, getting after it. But, Drew, any comments from you or the chat on this Belton-Honea Path Westside matchup?
Yeah, I like Westside. I think they win by 2 scores. I think it's going to be a game of big plays, honestly. I think like John says, I think there's going to be like stifling defense, and then you're just going to see break a long run or something, get thrown over the top, something like that. And I also like John's point, turnovers, like that is the great equalizer. Obviously that Westside is going to be favorited in this game, but if they turn the ball over, this BHP team is good enough to win with them. Love that point. Yeah, Tank Boston was not playing receiver. I think he was still trying to play DB. He had
I think he was just playing defense at that point. Yeah.
Playing pretty well too.
Yeah, for sure. So they were down a receiver there, but I think Westside's going to win this by 2 scores. A lot of comments on this one. This is going to be a fun game over in Anderson, so definitely go check this one out.
He's just going to
tease us there. Dion says Westside big, 55-28. Okay, Dion. Nathan says rooting for Westside last year was the opposite. Yeah. Hey, I get that, Nathan, for sure.
I understand.
Heather says BHP for the win. They are hungry. They certainly are. I mean, and like I mentioned, they're not afraid to play this football team, John. They are not scared of Westside, and they're going to come out firing all cylinders for sure. Pirelli says Westside too impressive in 4A. Pirelli give 5A run for the money. Yeah, they would certainly be a team that could compete for that state title in 5A as well. They have so much talent, a lot of depth there for sure. Eli says Henderson broke the BHP all-time record. Yes, that's right. I think it's like 4,900 yards now, I believe, Eli. Henderson is the all-time leader, which is really cool there. After a program that's had a lot of studs come through there for sure. Dion says, "Do y'all think Westside has the toughest schedule in the state?" It's up there. They're one of them. I think they've got Huff. Maybe Weddington coming to town, or either going over there here in a couple weeks as well. Obviously played Creekside already. TL Hanna and BHP.
Gray's got a really tough schedule. I know.
I don't know if I would say the toughest, but certainly one of. I would certainly agree with that. Chris says Westside 60-14.
I don't know.
That would be a shocker to beat them by that much, I think.
I think BHP scores more than that.
Yeah.
That is all the comments we have on this game so far.
I don't know enough about the out-of-state programs on Westside schedule. I know Prince Avenue Christian's a really, really good program. They play them next week. I don't know enough about Weddington, and honestly, the rest of the schedule.
Weddington's one of the top teams in the country right now in North Carolina.
There you go.
Perfect.
So yeah, they got an argument for it for sure.
Yeah, so those are our CONA games of the week. We had Ben Lippen at Cardinal Newman, Lower Richland at Batesburg-Leesville, North Augusta at Strom Thurmond, Northwestern at South Pointe, and Belton-Honea Path at Westside. As always, guys, if you missed that or missed any part of the show, you can go back and watch it once we get finished here in a little bit, and you can kind of check out that section. But, Jerel, let's shout out some friends of the program before we move into the next portion of the program.
Preferred Home Services. How can we make you smile today? Preferred Home Services. For electrical or plumbing, cooling too. Go, 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 Preferred.
Put Founders in the game and win big with our great rates. Whether you're looking for a loan or want to grow your money with a certificate, Founders Federal Credit Union can help you move the chains on your financial goals. Not a member? No problem. Visit foundersfcu.com to see if you qualify. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. Equal housing lender. Terms and conditions apply.
Okay, Jerel, I just realized that I did not upload the Pick'em winners from last week to the setup tonight, but as always, our Pick'em contest brought to you by Hannah Engineering. A lot of fun. We do 11 games of the week. Basically, hop in there, make your picks. It's on our social pages, on our website. Easy to find. We drop your lowest week. It's a lot of fun. We do a prize at the end of the season. So I do want to shout out our Week 2 leader, Pat M, with the big 10 spot there. Tons of 9s with Shannon and Jeffrey, Ryan, Charles, Jimmy, A. Watt, Andrew, MSU Burris, Ben B, Bryson, and a couple 8s as well. A lot of 8 scores there. John with a big 9. Me and Jerel with a 7 spot as well. And then our overall leader so far, we have Shannon F with a 28 number, Kyle C with 27, Dale and Isaiah and Nick all with 26, Big O, Charlie, Curtis, Dion, Kane, Nathan with 25, and a lot with 24 as well. John, you've got a 28 spot. Jerel, 22. I'm with 21 right now. Long season to go, guys. If you haven't joined yet, still have time to do so. It's I say it every week, it's a lot of fun. It gives you a reason to watch the games other than just your school and keep up with it. So really neat to do. You can check it on our social pages on our website as well. That's our Pick'em contest brought to you by Hannah Engineering. Shout out to our teams of the week. We had Westside, Batesburg-Leesville, and Central, brought to you by Preferred Home Services. Big wins for all 3 of those. Really impressive with what they did last week. Our players of the week, Javon Gilmore from Gaffney, Colt Bailey at Wardlaw, John Peoples at Sumter, brought to you by the George Agency. Check them out, georgeagency.net, for all your insurance needs, whether it's personal, whether it's for your business. They can help you out with all that. Did want to mention John Peoples at Sumter broke the Sumter career rush touchdown mark last week. Broke a name you'll remember, John, Jamacia Jackson's touchdown record there, but a South Carolina player for a while. I think he played safety instead of running back there for the Gamecocks, but really good Sumter Gamecock, and John Peoples now holds that record. Like I mentioned earlier, guys, check us out on all social media, Facebook, Twitter /X, Instagram, YouTube, and more at Movin Chains, MOVINCHAINS. MovinChains.com is our website, podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. We do a weekly preview show. Tuesday nights about 7:15. We break down all the games from that week. Our recap show comes out on Sunday on podcast platforms. We do coach interviews, player of the week, team of the week, food reviews, lots of great stuff throughout the week on our concessions, on our platforms as well. Jerel, any other comments before we kind of wrap up here for the night? From you or from the chat, either way.
Main thing, just make sure you keep up with those schedules, guys, to see when your teams are going to be playing. I just wanted to run through a few that I know confirmed that I've seen come up today. On Thursday, R&E at Nation Ford. Got Chester Saluda, Clinton at Chapman, Rock Hill at Hartsville, Mid-Carolina North Central, American Leadership RSM, Seneca Walhalla, Palmetto at Liberty, Calhoun County at Bamberg, Silver Bluff at Blackville Hilda, Andrews at Andrew Jackson, Hannah Wren, our SCISA game, Ben Lippen and Cardinal Newman. Also, one that got moved up on Friday, Hammond and Heathwood. That'll be played at 5:30 instead of 7:30. I know there was a plethora of others that were scattered throughout the show, but those are some ones that you guys need to keep up with. But just watch the weather, get out there regardless, go support these guys, and enjoy either Thursday or Friday Night Lights this week. Great show, guys.
Yeah, might be able to catch more than one depending on what part of the state you are and how far you're willing to drive. But definitely keep an eye out for the changes this week. As always, get your Moving the Chains merch. Got some great T-shirts now. Nice pocket logo there. Nice big logo on the back. We got a black one, a gray one like I'm wearing. Got a couple pink ones as well for the ladies. May have a few more colors coming in. We'll see as well. But email us, mtcgear.sc@gmail.com. You can DM us on Facebook or Twitter. Love to get you guys wearing some stuff. We got the hats, as always, good Richardson hats. We got, a kind of a gray black one. Lots of good options there. They're all posted on our social media pages. Lots of great toboggans, beanies, whatever you guys want to call them. We got those. We got hoodies for this cold weather. It's going to be here before we know it as well, John. A gray and a lighter gray one. Really high quality stuff. I've been wearing my T-shirt around. It feels great. Like, it's nice stuff. So definitely get some of that. Support the boys. Love to see you guys rocking some of our stuff out at the ball games. John, any final thoughts on last week, this week, anything in general before we wrap up the show here tonight?
Yeah, I just want to mention one thing. Did not have any concessions at Zimp Stadium Friday, but I did go to Lugoff House of Pizza. It is still top-notch, deserves a Michelin star. It's amazing. Go there if you ever get a chance. It's incredible Stromboli's.
So if you're going to that Aiken Lugoff Elgin game on Thursday night, pregame meal, Lugoff House of Pizza, definitely check that out. Not sure where we're going to be yet. I had a couple games in mind, and now we're kind of getting some moving pieces. I don't know what to think and what's going to happen yet. So we'll see how that shakes out, but definitely check it out. And if you see us out there, say hello. Jerel, any final comments from you or the chat before we close down for the night?
I was in Charleston, so I'm not trying to dunk on what John had to eat last week. So I'm not even going to mention. I'm not even going to mention that. Do want to shout out all the great people at Bishop England and all the great people at Hand to Hand. Had a great time down in the Charleston area this weekend, so it's fantastic.
Perfect. Well, Ben, it's been another great show, John. For Jerel, Hendricks, and John Epps, I'm Kevin Thomas. Moving the Chains is always brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. This has been our Week 3 preview show for South Carolina High School football, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Get ready for the ultimate South Carolina high school football experience with Movin The Chains. From previews to recaps, we've got you covered. Dive into our expert preview shows, predicting winners and sharing insights. Then join us post-game for the thrilling recaps, exclusive interviews, and highlights you won't find anywhere else. Plus, connect with fellow fans on our Friday night spaces on Twitter/X. No one covers South Carolina high school football like us. Join us at Movin Chains on all social media platforms and visit movinchains.com today.